Hello, welcome once again to the wilds of Wales. In this video, it's going to be all about meditation. 5 ways to meditate. We'll go right into that big style, and there's going to be a reading at the end, of course, as absolutely always. I'm going to do this one in the house because the wind keeps blowing up and it makes a mess of the sound. So join me inside. Let's have a look. This is the most sensible one to use every day. I strongly believe in myself. There are all kinds of different reasons for meditating, and we will look into those. But open meditation is a great thing to do every day, whether you want something in particular or not, because it strengthens your connection to the divine realms. They all do that. Every form of meditation does that. But open meditation is absolutely great for getting in touch with who you are as a spiritual being. And, you know, we've got to bear in mind that every one of our lives is a flash of light in an eternal universe. And it's a flash of light that happens for a reason. Absolutely. And open meditation will really get you in touch with that over a period of time, of course. But even just to do it once will give you some insight. It's a very, very powerful thing. So this is a kind of meditation that we do when we're not asking for anything in particular. We just want to, as spiritualists say, sit in the power. The power is absolutely immense, and when we take the attitude that we're going to sit in the power, all kinds of things can come to us. It really can be absolutely anything. So for any kind of meditation, particularly this one, in fact particularly all of them if I think about it, it's important to ground and protect ourselves. And why is this? Well, you know, not every being in this spirit world is an angel, basically. Okay, I don't want to overplay the idea of darkness because it's not too difficult to overcome darkness. Darkness is just a fact of spiritual life, and we do need to be protected from it. And so there's the protection, which we need to do, and there's also the grounding, which we need to do. And I've spoken of this a lot in many of my videos, actually, because it is a super important thing to get your head around and to actually do every single time. And that is to sit. It's good to sit sort of straight, with a straight back if you possibly can, and this works lying down as well. The important thing is to have all your chakras aligned in a nice kind of straight column, going from the root chakra right up to the crown chakra, and being mindful as well. And there's the soul star chakra above your head, and there's also the earth star chakra down below your feet, and that really gets involved with the grounding side of things. So you just meditate a little bit on each of those chakras. This isn't the main purpose of the meditation, of course, but it's all part of making sure that whatever meditation we're doing, whatever it is we're trying to achieve with our meditation, we are actually grounded. And that's so important, because in this life, things will try and knock us off balance again and again, most particularly when we kind of come out of the closet and people around us start to realize that we're following a spiritual path. And for about 80% of the people around us, they're going to think that's a crazy thing to do. And a lot of people, out of misplaced compassion, I suppose, wanting to help in an unhelpful way, which they think is helpful, will want to actually kind of just knock us off balance. It's not just spiritual darkness that gets in the way. It's misplaced light in this world. So we need to be grounded, and for that reason, after we've got the chakras nice and straight and thought about each chakra just briefly, and kind of cleared it, we need to send roots down from our feet, down deep into the earth, and visualize in our mind's eye that those roots go right down to the earth's core, wrap around the earth's core several times, and then come back up, and they grip us around the ankles. And they're our roots, you see, so it doesn't really matter how tightly they grip us, because we can decide what we want to do. We can move around in any case. We can do just about anything, actually. Virtually everything is possible when you're on the spiritual path. It just takes some time. But to have that freedom, it's all part of the visualization. Those roots are like elastic to us. We can move around, we can do what we want, but nobody else can move us. That's the thing to visualize. That's the thing to believe in. So then, once we've done that, we visualize a protective bubble. I've talked about this before and called it the cosmic condom, which is a great name for it, actually. We visualize that coming down around our head, over our shoulders, right down past the middle of the body, right down into contact with the ground. And I don't just mean the floor beneath our feet. I mean, the actual floor of nature, the actual surface of the earth. And that is there underneath the city concrete, wherever you are in the world, that is actually there. And sometimes we have to visualize it to get in touch with it. As you saw in the opening clip there, I'm very lucky to live in the countryside, and I have actually got soil probably about 12 feet beneath my feet at the moment, because I'm in an upstairs room. So, I visualize that contact, and to visualize it is to make it real, is to make it actually happen. So that protective bubble, that cosmic condom, comes down, contacts with the ground, and as that's coming down, we visualize that is actually very protective, and the only influence that can get through that is going to be anything that comes in love and light, and anything that it is actually good for us to know and to interact with, really. Because as quiet and as peaceful as meditation is, it's a sort of an interaction. And this is the great thing about open meditation. You never know exactly what forces, what powers you're going to be interacting with, but you can be sure, and you'll find out as time goes on, that what comes to you in open meditation, when you're thoroughly grounded and thoroughly protected, is whatever's good for you at the time, whatever the universe wants you to know, whatever your spirit guides want to communicate to you. And spirit guides are wonderful. A lot of people think, well, have I got spirit guides? Are there any? Every living person has spirit people around them in one way or another. And here's an important thing to do with grounding and protection, actually. Every one of us has a gatekeeper in the spiritual realms, and the gatekeeper is a soul who has been over there, so to speak, for a long, long time, usually hundreds of years, if not maybe even thousands of years. It's not uncommon for people to have a Roman centurion. I've mentioned that before. But, you can go right back to sort of ancient Babylonian times, ancient Egyptian times. As long as there have been people on the planet, they have been spiritually aware in one way or another. We all have a light body, and we always have all had a light body, right back way into prehistory, way back before anyone was taking any notes about anything at all. So connect to that gatekeeper. The way to do that is just to ask for the gatekeeper to make sure that nothing comes to you unless it comes in love and light, and that gatekeeper takes charge of your protective bubble. And there you are, you're connected then. Those connection things are important to do in any kind of meditation, and they're also important to do every time you work. If you're going to do a reading, or, whatever spiritual work you're going to do, you need to do that grounding and protection first. And once you're in that grounded, protected state, with open meditation, the thing to do then is just quiet the mind. Lots of thoughts pop up, lots of things come up and try and get in the way of having an open channel for meditation. And it's also good to ask your guidekeeper for that open channel in meditation to be there and to be working. But as those little things come up, as those little concerns crop up in your mind, and you're thinking, have I got enough food? Have I fed the cat? Is the cat all right? Where is the cat? That's another one, particularly in the summer. Actually, we worry about all kinds of things: cats, kids, cars. Every little worry like that is something that we need to be mindful of, for sure. It's wise to be mindful of those things, but we can just kind of imagine putting that concern on a cloud and watching that cloud drift away towards the angels, and the angels will make sure that everything's okay while we're in that open-minded meditative space. And when we eventually come out of meditation, then those things will still be there, and we'll be able to deal with them a lot better because we'll have been through meditation. And actually, a lot of those things that we, see, those little concerns that come up, are actually worth meditating on. And another gift of open meditation actually is that those things do come up, because you don't know what little concerns are going to crop up in your mind before you start meditating, and the ones that do are going to be important ones. So there you go. By open meditation, by not particularly asking for anything, you are actually getting knowledge about certain things you already know about, but you don't know the answers to, and those answers start coming through. So that is open meditation. Just like I said in part one, we do actually all have spirit guides. Some people I know wonder, do they have spirit guides? And it's just worth remembering that, we absolutely all do. I didn't know that when I started, but I had faith, things were happening for me. But quite a lot of people come to this in a situation where things don't seem to be happening to them at all. Actually, even then, something is happening when you decide to go on a quest to find out if you've got spirit guides, to find out if you're kind of a light worker, something like that. Then that is actually your spirit guides moving you to want to do that. They talk into our thoughts all the time. It's into the subconscious mind that they talk. And that information is actually always coming in. But meditation is a great way to bring those things out of the subconscious mind into the conscious mind and actually start living the life and actually feeling aware of it. So meditation, and I would say again, regular meditation actually is quite important to that. And when I say regular meditation, it doesn't have to be a particular time on the clock. It just has to be at the same point in your day, every day. For example, I usually do mine when I've just fed my chickens, and that can be different times every day. That varies all the time. It's bound to. It has to, because life isn't a regimented thing. A lot of people try to live regimented lives as a way of self-discipline, and that is absolutely coolio. Those people are going to find themselves doing it at the same time on the clock every day. But we do need to be mindful that the time on the clock means very little to any spiritual influence, anyone who's coming to us from the higher realms. So just have that regular point in your day when you do your meditation, and even if you don't have much time to meditate, 5 minutes, 10 minutes every single day does establish a rhythm, and spirit will recognize that rhythm and they will come to you. So in connecting to a particular spirit guide, it's good to use this method, which actually comes into the next part about angels as well. But everything to do with meditation is out of this world. It's not actually physically limited. So here am I trying to put things into 5 different parts because it makes it easier to understand. That's the whole point of it, really. But that is a worldly way of tackling it. We have to tackle it in a worldly way because we actually live in this world. This is what we've been given before we ever incarnated to this world. So we've come to our time for meditation. We've grounded ourselves and we've protected ourselves with the protective bubble, and we've asked for protection from the angels and maybe from our gatekeeper. Well, we should always ask for protection from our gatekeeper because that's their job. That's what they really do. And this time we're not exactly in an open state of meditation. We should try and be open in our minds, to the fact that anything can happen and that anything eventually will happen as we go on our journey of meditation, which is a lifelong journey. It really is. But we're open, basically. But this time, we're actually trying to do something. We're trying to connect to our spirit guides. And there are many different visualizations you can do. And I'm sure in your meditations, you will actually find a way that is good for you. But I'll give you an example. This is something a medium taught me a long time ago. And I've got my own version of it. She told me to imagine that you're in a nice garden, and imagine actually that you've walked into that nice garden. Imagine walking up to it, opening the garden gate, going through the garden gate, around the corner into some trees where it's all secluded, and the rest of the world, is passing by, maybe even quite close by, but can't actually see or hear what's going on in that garden. And there's a park bench in that garden, so you sit down on the park bench and you ask your spirit guide to come in, and you just visualize somebody coming into the garden and sitting down next to you on that park bench, and then you open a conversation, or you wait for your spirit guide to open a conversation. That's an even better way of doing it. And at that point, people sometimes think, well, the spirit guide isn't actually saying anything, but the spirit guide is working with your inner mind all that time. And it can be a conversation where you are actually physically aware that you're being spoken to, or it can just seem like nothing, in which case it's a mind level, a subconscious level conversation. But that way, you'll eventually connect to your spirit guide. It takes time for sure, because we live in a world governed by time, but eventually you'll feel connected and you'll know it's working. This produces beautiful feelings, actually. It's very similar to what I described about connecting to spirit guides, because the angels do actually have a guiding role. They are very much a guiding light in our lives at all times, particularly in our spiritual lives, I suppose, but the angels are around us all the time, always. And again, it's very difficult for people to know that the angels are around, coming, as it were, from a standing start when you don't have experience. But the only way to get experience is by setting off on this path of meditation, and then you will have experiences. It may not be obvious to you that you've had these experiences right at the very beginning, but you will have these experiences, absolutely, for sure, because the angels are there for you and they're willing to communicate, most certainly. Preparation for this, it's good to try and be in a happy frame of mind, actually. Light is going to attract more light towards it, and if you're in a dark, heavy mood, then it's just not going to be that easy. But at the same time, if you're in a dark, heavy mood, the best way to lighten it is to actually ask the angels to come in. So no matter what you're feeling like, as you go into your meditation to connect with the angels, visualize light. Light is really what it's all about. And actually, everybody who exists in the spirit world, which is everyone who's ever lived, and a great many entities who've never actually lived this earthly life, they exist as a form of light. They are pure light. And this is one of the reasons that the internet is a wonderful way to be in touch with spirit guides, to get readings, anything at all to do with spiritual practice, because the internet runs on fiber optics, and it only takes a tiny amount of light, to something, an amount of light that we probably couldn't even see with the naked eye. The tiniest amount of light will actually make a difference on the internet, and this is why spirit guides are so good at linking us all together around the world and bringing us together. And I'm sure, for example, that you've been drawn to this video today, if not to my whole channel, because of some kind of light interactivity like that. So light is the thing to really focus on with the angels. A lot of us, when we begin to see our angels, we only really see light, and sometimes it's such a dazzling light that we can't see anything else. The first time I consciously met an angel in meditation, I could only look at her feet. I couldn't stand to look at the whole of her being, because it was so bright. It was just too bright for my eyes. But even though I didn't see her at that time, it was a wonderful experience, because I became aware of how very powerful the angels are, how very strong the angelic energy is, because of the sheer amount of light there. And that's not the only way angels come. I once met an angel, I'm sure it was an angel actually, on Glastonbury Tor, which I've talked about in another video. It's an ancient place in the southwest of England, very near to Stonehenge actually, and the same sort of age, goes back to the same sort of historical time as Stonehenge, about sort of 5000 BC. And I went up there to ask a question, and I had a conversation with a man who seemed a perfectly ordinary man, very spiritually gifted sort of a man, certainly. But I only realised he was a supernatural man, as it were, right at the end of the encounter when we climbed down the Tor, which is a great big hill, and we got some water from a holy well at the bottom of the Tor, and just after that he disappeared into thin air. Remarkable. And that's the only way that it was really confirmed to me that he was an angel. I've also been in dreams where I had to face up to something very hard, very difficult, and the same angel has come to me more than once in those dreams and sort of walks me through it. And then when I wake up from the dream and write the dream down, and dreams are a form of meditation, an involuntary form of meditation, if you like, that come to us in our sleep. And if we write them down, we really get the measure of what's going on. So there's another angel meditation thing. Write them down. In fact, I would say that's true of any kind of meditation. But once we actually go over what we've written down or go over the dream in our mind, it becomes obvious that we've had someone very special there, someone with remarkable strengths and healing ability and light to actually help us, someone who's been very loving towards us. And when I see that angel, she just looks like an ordinary woman, There's nothing remarkable about her at all, apart from how kind she is, how helpful, and how generous she actually is. So angels take many forms, really, but they are essentially pure light, and a huge amount of pure light as well. So that's another way to meditate. Just hold that intention as you go into your meditation, and then allow your mind to clear. It's still always good to allow your mind to clear and go openly into it. The higher self is very important if we're going to try and connect to somebody else, or maybe to a group of people. And there are reasons, good reasons, why we would need to do that sometimes. In fact, curiosity can be quite a good reason, because if you're really wondering what's going on, and if you're sort of bothered by what other people might be up to or what they might be thinking, then there's a lot of calm can come into your life if you can connect to those people or to that situation and actually find out what's going on. It is actually very similar to connecting to angels or to connecting to a spirit guide. Very similar indeed, actually, because again, as I said earlier, we all have a light body. Every life, every human life, every animal life is a flash of light in an eternal universe. It's a flash of light for a reason. And so everyone has that light body. And there is absolutely nothing wrong in trying to connect to somebody else's light body and to find out what's going on. But what's really important is to do it in a non-intrusive, non-invasive sort of a way. And so as we go into a meditation to ask about, or to make a connection to another person in this world, their higher self needs to be willing to let us in, So it's quite important to, I suppose, be in a space of mental respect for other people's rights, because other people's right to have that sort of cosmic spiritual privacy is a God-given thing given to them. There are mysteries in this world to which we will never really have full access, and we'll find out all the things we really can't find out while we're living this life when we actually get to the other side, to the eternal realms, and we're in between lives before our next incarnation. So we have to be mentally respectful of that whole thing, because that's not just respecting other people's rights and privacy and what have you. It's actually respecting what the Great Spirit gives to those people, on the basis that the Great Spirit also gives that to us. And we can actually block out other people from how can I put it, from sort of delving into our lives and knowing stuff that we don't want them to know, by putting up a kind of a block. And that involves asking the angels, actually, and again asking your gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is very important there, that certain things will be personal to you. They'll always be known to God, they'll always be known to the angels and your spirit guides, and to your loved ones in the spirit realms as well. But you can actually, block out any unpleasant busybody sort of interfering influences that want to come in to your life. And the same way, the person you're trying to connect to, the people you're trying to connect to, or the situation that you're trying to understand, that can have its own block, and you'll only actually get through that if it's for the highest, best good of all concerned. So there is a real important concept that plays into the healing journey. It plays into just about every kind of spiritual work there is, actually, to be always aware and mindful that whatever you want to do is going to be for the highest good of all concerned. And of course, it goes with that you have to accept that you may not be able to get the information that you want to get. But if it's for a good reason, and if it is for your highest good, and you are mindful of the other people's highest good, then the chances are you will find out what you need to know. So it's important as you go into your meditation to realize that the other person, has their own right to privacy, and just to, focus on the highest good of all concerned. That's what's really important in this one. The highest good is important here too, because if we're going to ask for something and we're going to try and invoke, as it were, the universal realms, the divine realms, to actually help us, we want to enlist their help, then we have to be really asking for something that is of benefit, and so no matter how sure you might be that what you want to ask for is of benefit and is for the highest good, you have to be mindful and respectful of the fact that the divine realms, your angels, your gatekeepers, they're the ones who really know if it's going to be good for you in the long run. And this is what we never know in the present moment, what's going to be good for us in the long run. We never know where the spiritual journey is taking us. We never really know where the physical journey is taking us, to be quite honest. But we have to trust the journey, particularly on a spiritual level. And it's a bit like when you take part in a sport or something and you're mindful that taking part is what's important, whether you sort of win the game or not. And so it is with asking for something from the spiritual realms. You have to be mindful that, it might not actually be the best thing for you because of something that's going to happen days, months, weeks, years, maybe even decades down the line, that if you knew about, you might not be asking for that thing. It's the old adage of be careful what you wish for, and it's ever so important to be careful what you wish for. So be careful what you wish for, that's the best way to say it, really. And again, like connecting to other people, there might be reasons why you can't actually make that connection, why that connection isn't going to help. And at that point, you might as well ask to connect to a spirit guide and find out why that is. And again, if it's meant to be, if you're meant to know, you will find out why that is. But you will certainly find out something of value. Meditation always brings us something of value. It always brings us something really quite powerful, because it is a powerful tool, a very powerful tool. And it may be that actually you ask for something and you actually get something else. And believe me, friends, when that happens, the something else that comes in is the something that you actually need more than the thing you asked for. This is the overview that the spirit people have. They have this amazing overview. They just know what's best for us. They know what we need. A lot of us think that we know what's best for us, and look at the problems we can get into with that. We just don't always know what's best for us. And the benefit, actually, of asking the universe, asking the angels, asking the Great Spirit for the things we want, is that it will be moderated in some way, so that as things come through into our lives, it'll all be in keeping with karma. It'll always be in keeping, again, with the highest, best good for all concerned, because that is what the Great Spirit is concerned with. That is what the angels are concerned with, and that is what the love and the light that characterize spiritual activity are really all about. So let's have a look at today's reading, which is a horseshoe, 5-card horseshoe spread from the Starman Tarot, created by David De Angelis for David Bowie. So you might notice something familiar about the way these images have been presented and prepared, but it's a wonderful tarot deck, actually. And so, of course, we're thinking about meditation and all those connections as we go through this. What is card number 1 then, eh? In fact, before I do that, friends, do you want to pick a card? Do you want to pick several cards? It's entirely up to you. Trust your intuition. You are your own psychic. You really are. So, card number 1. What have we here? It's the Ace of Cups. Lovely energy here with the Ace of Cups. This is a wonderful card to get. The cups, of course, are all about what we want and what we desire. And meditation is a wonderful way to get in touch with really why we want things, why we desire things, what we actually intend to do with the energy that comes to us, how we're actually going to use it. And it can often change the nature of what we want. It can change the nature of why we want it. All moving towards the highest, best good. And we've got this lotus flower here symbolizing the crown chakra, which really needs to be open when we meditate. And closed down, of course, after we meditate, because it's very, very special energy that comes in through the crown chakra. So there we have card number 1. Did you pick card number 2, friends? Let's turn it over and see what it is. It's the 6 of Pentacles. Now, so important, this, well, they're all important, I suppose, but this one is particularly important because with the 6 of Pentacles, we are reminded that the past isn't always the wonderful thing we would like it to be. We have to look back on the way we've tried to draw abundance into our lives in the past, and the Pentacles are always about abundance. So we have to look back on that, but at the same time, the best way to look in any situation is upwards and forwards. I'm not sure which of those two are the best. With meditation, we're always looking up. But forwards is where the answers are, you know. Upwards is where the answers are too. But forwards is where the answers actually come into our life. And there is great abundance to be had through regular meditation. Because the more you get in touch with what you really care about in life, what you're really trying to manifest into your life, the better that abundance is. Because we don't just want any old abundance, do we? We want it really rooted in the ground. Look at these root boots here, and you know, that's really the groundedness of what's so important about any kind of meditation, because we're drawing down divine knowledge into our worldly form, into our worldly lives. So this brings us to card number 3, the heart of the matter, and number 6, the lovers. Now, of course, this can be a relationship, and when we're asking for something in meditation, we might very well be asking for a relationship to happen and come in and be really good and positive for us. Well, this card suggests that that is possible. It also suggests that all things are possible, because there is great love between our spirit guides, those that we are guided by, those who we've loved and lost to the afterlife too, and the angels. It's all about love. We talk about love and light, and the love is what's really significant here, because the love actually brings the light. Okay, so that is the heart of the matter, really, to ask for all these things, to do these things in love. And if you do, we get to card number 4, which is the Sun. This is always a wonderful outcome card. We do have another card to go before we actually get to the outcome here. But the Sun says things are ready to happen. Things are ready to move forward. Very, very positive card. And the particular message I want to pick up on here is that when we get the Sun card, we're often more ready for good things to happen than we actually believe. And this is another visualization thing that's so important with meditation, is to actually believe that we can attract amazing things into our lives. And that we can attract amazing outcomes from meditation as well. And the reason that we can attract those things is that as human beings we are all loved from the spirit world, and we all have a mission to fulfill in this life, so we are actually ready for these good things to come in. So do be mindful of that. Did you pick card number 5, or did you pick all 5? In any case, this card is really the one for you, because this is the outcome card, even if it's not the one you picked. The 3 of Cups. Okay, so here we have an upward spiral. This again can relate to good relationships of a loving, of a romantic nature. It can be family. It can actually be to do with work. You know, it can be to do with absolutely anything. But when the 3 of Cups comes into play, we get an upward spiral, almost almost a mutual appreciation society coming into being, and good things are always going to flow from that. Most importantly, in terms of meditation, the 3 of Cups energy points us to the fact that it's so important to meditate, because it is actually all about connection. And I think only 3 of the 5 parts of this video were directly mentioning connection, but it is always some kind of connection, whether it's angels, spirit guides, someone in this world, whether it's something to do with healing, whether it's about openness. There are all kinds of different possibilities, even if we're just kind of asking for something for ourselves because that's what we feel we need. Well, that connection is always going to happen as long as we focus on it, as long as we meditate on it, because the 3 of Cups shows the eternal energies coming into this life, ready to help, ready to make things happen, and that energy is there, and they will work with you. They will work with all of us, if only we will meditate. So there is today's reading. So there we are, friends. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for being here and listening to this one. I hope it helps you. Just, always remember that thing about the highest good for everyone concerned. That is something that goes right across everything there is to do with meditation. And always ground yourself, always protect yourself before you go into it. That's super important too. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know what cards you chose in the readings. Let me know what spoke to you about those readings and about this video. It's always great to hear from you guys. Just leave me a comment down below in the comments. It's always good to read them. If you'd like to arrange a private reading of your own, then 35and83@gmail.com is my email address. That's 35and83@gmail.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. I'm sure we can work something out of mutual benefit. Also, if you'd like to support my work, please visit my page at ko-fi.com/twig. That address is down there in the description as well, and as is also my PayPal not my PayPal email, my paypal.me link, which is paypal.me/twig. Okay, so any help that comes in that way is very gratefully appreciated, and I want to thank all you guys who've supported me in my work in recent times. Actually, it means a great deal, and it allows me to kind of just, maybe one of these days get Skylink so I can do my live videos that much easier. Do hit the subscribe button, because there are more videos all the time, and you will get notifications when I go live, which is 3 times a week, Sundays and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Central USA time. That's 9 p.m. UK time. Also Fridays at 12 noon Central USA time, 6 p.m. UK time. I love to do the lives because that way I can chat to you guys. I can pull cards for you. I can give you your own little reading that way. So do hit the subscribe button and be part of the whole Twig Brother thing. You're very, very welcome. Meanwhile, have a great time ahead, and I'll see you again very soon in a future video. Love and light and blessings and peace.